What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of kicking off the year, the 2022 calendar year, with the very first According to Woods podcast of the new year with Mercenary Combat Academy's own. He is a CFFC, that is the Cage Fury Fighting Championship veteran. He is the one, the only, the relentless DJQuick Jackson. What's going
What's
on,
good,
DJ?
everybody? Hope you guys are having a good day. Bless up. Life is memories.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you're kind of turning heads in that Tri-Cities area, that Pacific Northwest region, and
For sure,
you
for
know,
sure.
it's I like to use the adage of, it takes a lifetime to become, an overnight success. And a lot of people were talking about your fight at CFFC, but I mean, there's a lot, that goes into it to get the desired result. So
Oh,
with
for
all
sure. It's not instant gratification. You got to stack that work daily.
so
It's a
I
daily
guess
grind.
so I
What's up?
guess I mean, let's start it off first. I mean, how did you get into combat sports?
Um, Honestly, I was doing wrestling. I started with wrestling. Started wrestling about eighth grade year, and then I got moved to Texas, and so I kind of missed out. Like I got the introduction of what wrestling was. I got a couple matches in, but then end up moving, and then that was a transition in itself. And so after parents split and etc., I got end up transferring to another high school again my sophomore year that actually had wrestling. I played football my freshman year in Texas. Yeah, I know I'm not a football player, yo. I play football, but not down there in Texas. There's some big boys. But yeah, I started honestly the first time I ever got like MMA mixed martial arts jiu-jitsu was like yeah, I guess about that freshman sophomore year. My mom took me to like an MMA gym and I did a class with jiu-jitsu. And then yeah, we were just talking about this. I ended up getting like choked with the gi, and I was like, "What? You can't do that." And they're like, "No, that's what you use it for. You use it to control." And then I was like, "Okay." And then like I don't know, I continued with wrestling for a while. I went to probably about 10 classes there, and then my friend, one of my friends in high school, club wrestling. They practice at MMA gym sometimes, and so with doing that seeing jiu-jitsu classes again, and then the kickboxing. They're like, "Hey man, go try a class." And then yeah, after that, after kind of getting into it, I talked to coaches about possibly fighting, like joking around with it, but it wasn't really a thing. And then they're like, "If you're gonna fight, like you got to finish wrestling." And I was like, "But I want to fight." Like you got to finish wrestling. I was like, "All right." So then, as soon as I graduated college, I moved down here to Tri Cities, and then yeah, I got my career started. Honestly, that was about like 3 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. And Rocky Nielsen Sr. saying Mercenary Combat Academy in the house. They have an awesome fight team. Tony Solis, Coach Tony
Yes, sir.
Solis, Coach Kelly Clayton, and Dakota Rhodes. I can't agree with you, Rocky, anymore. And obviously you, DJ.
No, and then from there, honestly, it's you stack the work. I talk to a lot of people as I go throughout my day. I live out the manifestations that I seek, and I don't know. It's just a lot of self talk, and so like one of the can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, that's a motto. That's a vibe. So I try to live that, whether it's practice or going to work, coaching, and anything that you do. I feel like you got to apply that, and then good things come from it.
No, 100%. Which I mean, that is almost the genesis of a positive mindset, manifesting. I know guys and girls out here that in the Southern California region, they literally will, uh, literally, the walk to the cage, what they're gonna wear, what like every finite and minute detail, right? Even into having a post-fight interview. I believe it was Jordan Azardia out of Saxon Muay Thai, and he was like, I manifested this, like, Mike Beltran raising my hand, Jonathan King basically calling the fights, you doing a post fight interview and everything like that. And I was like, whoa, like, because he was just like, it's in my vision board. And I'm like, dang, that's so next level. But also, if you're readying your body right to combat, it seems like, right over the head, but like the mind has to be right, the soul has to be right.
No, for sure. Mind, body, soul. It's a total balance. And no, going through the a normal day, it's just I don't know. I do a lot. I try to stay active, and with balancing those things, it's just like a controlled chaos, you know.
Yeah, no,
uh,
100%. And I think that's kind of my love for combat sports, right? Because it is controlled chaos. It is a car wreck. I mean, different than a lineman, slamming at you from 80 miles an hour, in whatever, but it is a controlled chaos. You are essentially the player one to your coach's, game plan and the execution of such, right? But even the game plan, there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of fight experience, whether coach fights themselves or have just seen a lot of your other teammates, or even different fights in general, and
see,
taking all that intel in and whatever, and finding a way to disseminate that into the fighter, and I often think that, a for anybody that hasn't been to live, combat sports, events and what have you, I it's something different than any other thing, right? Because it's almost like a renaissance, right? The referees, they ref, and the officials, they ref, the coaches, they coach, the announcers announce, ring card girls, whatever. Everybody is kind of bringing their art
but
into
yeah,
this.
they all play a role. So yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody should be seeking to do it to the best of their ability. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Absolutely.
uh,
So, I mean, you said your coach wanted you to finish out the year in wrestling before you kind of, you know, went into anything else. And was that because, he kind of wanted to get your mind right, or you guys have, like, wrestling meets that he needed you there for? Because that's
yeah,
crucial.
a lot of times I don't know. I try to lead by example, and so being a leader in the room and in competition. Uh, when that coach that was over in Arkansas, yeah, he wanted me to get more focused. He didn't want me distracted upon my schooling, and he wanted me to make sure I got all my stuff done. And so, yeah, after that, it was just like I did go to a tournament. I still continue to wrestle. Stay tuned. I'll be probably wrestling in April at the U.S. Open. But yeah, I just try to stay active as a competitor. And even after, yeah, he just said wait, because so it wasn't trying to balance school, wrestling, and then fighting. Because yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Uh, like my training day, I coach in the afternoons. I start at like 3, and then I don't leave the gym till like 9. And then in the morning, I'm doing things. I'm active during the day as it is. So yeah, I got some pretty long days sometimes as it is.
I mean, I would say so, and it's I mean, where does that come from? That work ethic come from? Because obviously, it seemed like you're, whether it be MMA or not, or jujitsu or not, wrestling or not, your mindset was always, almost in a cathartic way. All this, the changes around, different sceneries, having to move, kind of all willy nilly and what have you, and try to, reestablish yourself in a new type
Adapt,
deal.
yeah. It's a constant adaptation, honestly. Yeah, I guess yeah, you actually see it from a different perspective, and so yeah, it is like that. No different than when you walk in the cage. You can have a game plan, but you got to be able to change on the fly, read what's going on, and so I don't know. I guess yeah, like you're saying, going from place to place, I've had to be in an adaptive environment. So I don't know, it plays hand in hand. That helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it almost seemed like, in a cathartic way, it is, sports that almost save your life and help you define yourself, and continues to, help you define yourself. And it's weird, right? Because, like, the last 2 years that we've been in, and a lot of, kids, who were same and similar age as you when you found sports, they're without that athletic or any type of physical exertion. So it's kind of weird that you are not kind of weird. I think it's kind of beautiful that you are able to kind of speaking of manifest, but basically channel all the kind of craziness that was going on in your personal life into athletic endeavors.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an outlet for sure. Uh, just yeah, trying to just stay busy, whatever it may be. It just if you keep yourself busy and focused on bringing value, then I value will come to you. So I don't know. I just try to bring value in everything I do and try to keep a positive perspective. Find gratitude is that was a big word upon getting to my fight. Getting this opportunity. Because it was just crazy. It was crazy even getting to the fight. That was probably one of my most stressful weeks of my ever like athletic career. Birthday week. Yeah, short notice fight. There was just a lot going on, and so yeah, that was controlled chaos week. In my flight, even getting to Houston, didn't make that flight. Had to take another flight. Had to drive from Dallas to Houston just to get the weigh-ins. Yeah, run on like 36 hours of no sleep. It was wild.
What? What?
Yes, sir.
I mean, talk about being able to switch gears on the fly. I mean, your birthday week. Usually, people wild out and what have you, and you take a short notice flight. That's kind of wild.
No, it was just that's what it was. It was an early birthday gift to me. That's how I felt. I wanted to fight all year, sir. As honestly, uh, I was seeking a fight. I wanted to fight, and I was just like, in my mindset, I was like, man, I'm not gonna get a fight till the next year. It's probably not January. It'd have to be the end of January. Probably most likely be more realistic. Probably the end of February, March. And I was like, man, I was like, here we go. Just continue to grind, stack the work. I just gotta stay positive. I said the positive mind upon it would be that I get to continue to sharpen my tools. But yeah, coach got a call. We were talking to Iron Shin and over in Vegas, and yeah, literally it was on a day like 3 days later. He was like, "Hey, yo, there's a fight opportunity." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, December 19th. You ready?" I was like, "Say less. Let's go." I was like, he's like, "It's over in Houston." I was like, "All right, yeah." Like, cause I've been wanting to fight. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not. Stay ready." I've been. Yeah. I was grateful to get the fight and then have such a crazy week going into it. And then come out with the win on top for sure. Handling business, staying focused. Uh, yeah, just zoned in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love your outlook, right? Because if this is what you want to do, right? I mean, that should be a birthday present, right? To be able
Yeah,
to do what you want to do, and basically test everything, and it's weird because fights happen all the time, on a regional scene, amateurs, even the UFC since July 2020, they've
yeah,
almost conditioned the viewing audience that there's a fight every Saturday, whether it be a pay-per-view or fight night and what
for
have you.
sure.
But like it's an accumulation of essentially a metamorphosis that a person goes through, a team goes through, you know in that deal. And it's like, and it's two opposite sides, right, that are going through these kind of like transitions, pardon the pun, transitions in MMA, right? But I mean, but it's absolutely that, and even, and it doesn't happen often, but like, you can die. There are people that have done it. So this is like total Bushido spirit, like live by the sword, die by the sword.
Gladiators. That's what I'm a gladiator when I go step in the octagon. Different than I was a gladiator when I stepped in the circle. Just go sign the dotted line. Just go, yeah, just go find out. Just go find out where you stand and confident. And I don't know. When I step in there, it's eat or be eaten. Honestly, it's that type of mindset. And so, uh, yeah, your fight or flight skills kind of adapt. Like in this fight, my coach wanted me to grapple a little bit more. That's what I've been told, but I wanted to showcase some of my skills, my standing skills, and continue to work on them. I backed him down, so I took a couple shots, but that's what being the aggressor. So, uh, yeah, like I said, trust in the work, and so I'm gonna continue to stack the work and trust in the process. Honestly, that's all I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of transitions, right? So you go from football, right, to wrestling to jujitsu, right? Theoretically, right?
Yeah,
Did you have some carryovers? Whether it be maybe lateral movement from you know uh, football that might have helped you in wrestling, and then the conditioning of a wrestler. I have often thought that wrestlers and maybe soccer players, but wrestlers specifically, because you're carrying your own body weight and others, right? The body weight of others, right?
for sure.
And I mean, to be at an elite level like a Jordan Burroughs or what have you, that guy is training, a 12 to 18 hours out of the day almost,
Hmm.
right? So with that all being said, were there some carryovers, from football to, wrestling to jujitsu that, maybe you were a little bit, quicker to the step than some of your counterparts?
Yeah, for sure. The experience. I was a multiple sport athlete. I like playing all the sports, and so or for like you said, football. You got your footwork. Yeah, but I've done. It's funny because I did ladder work when I was in Houston this past time, and I was doing ladder work with some guys, and they're like, "You play football?" And I was like, I don't because you do feet work in wrestling, and so wrestling helps football. Football. If you're a football player, I do preach that you need to wrestle because it does help you with your skills. I gotta say that I'm a coach, so but they do go in hand in hand. So with tackling from wrestling, boom. Football, you're working on speed, you work on different power, explosiveness, but with wrestling, I take that it's more consistent, it's more constant. And so with that constant pressure, yeah, that's you seek to break. I try to seek to break people. Break. Yeah. So, with wrestling, yeah, it's you can out slick some people. Sometimes it's cardio. It's a chess game at the end of the day. And then with soccer, I guess ball movement, hand-eye coordination. But everything plays on one another. It's if you use it, if you want to be good at something, then yeah, you wanna learn all the skills. And so all those when you bring that in to like a melting pot, then of course, yeah, you get something great out of it.
No, 100%. And it's funny because I mean, if a lot of football players, right, ended up becoming pro wrestlers in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s
Okay.
because there wasn't any MMA, and if they're even if they were MMA, it didn't really start becoming lucrative until what, 2001, from 92, so almost
No, for
10
sure.
years, right? So with that all being said, you saw a lot of, you know, football players essentially transition into pro wrestling, like Wahoo McDaniel, Big Cat Ernie Ladd, the Funks, the Briscoes. They
Okay.
were,
Yeah.
they were football players and collegiate, amateur and collegiate wrestlers that ended up doing wrestling because. In the case of Wahoo McDaniel, who was like on the New York Jets, like one of the first like New York Jets teams, like you would have the stadium go, as soon as he hit a tackle, he would be like, "Oh, who's that? It's Wahoo!" The whole crowd and whatever. But even still, right? He was making more money doing professional wrestling
Hmm.
than
Yeah.
even
The okay.
football. The NFL wasn't what it is today. So like it's just kind of funny, and I shudder to think, like, if MMA had become lucrative, maybe a generation or two before, how many of those guys, like a Kurt Angle, imagine Kurt Angle in MMA, like,
Oh, for sure. They would have gave their go at it. You would have seen a lot of different athletes. Yeah, no transition, no different than we have adapting to it. It's a thing, and it's going to continue to grow. And so that yeah, I'm excited to see what the sport brings. No different than like when we seen Fight Island. You made sure that the fights continue to go.
yeah.
uh,
Now, in terms of the, obviously to the untrained eye, right? You're thinking grappling, right? Wrestling, jujitsu should be the same, right? But I mean, there's subtle nuances, right? Obviously, in jujitsu, a lot of it is playing off your back, but in wrestling, all it takes is 1 second to get pinned to the mat, and that's a wrap, right?
for
So,
sure.
I mean, what was the transition like, from one grappling aspect of wrestling into jujitsu? Was it kind of sink or swim, or did you take to it pretty well?
No, it's just learning the breakdown, the rules, the fundamentals. If you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the gi, now you're talking about grips. You're doing no gi, then it is like wrestling, but now it's taking off a little bit more of the restraints. Now you can, yeah, it's legal pain. Now you're trying to get somebody to submit rather than wrestling. You have to be in a little bit more control because the ref's going to stop up a certain position. In jiu-jitsu, there is no stopping the position. It's crank and tap or snap or nap.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu is really humbling. It's what it's like wrestling, but now you're taking off the restraints. But when you come from a wrestling perspective, I don't like to be the person on bottom. Like there's lots of moves from bottom, but I don't know why would you want to be the one being squished? That don't make sense to me. I don't want to be squished, especially if I'm the smaller person. And that's typically the thing. I'm a smaller person a lot of the time. So I use my technique to the best of my ability, my styles, and just adapt.
No, 100%. Now, at you know the kind of jujitsu entering your life, right? Are you starting to kind of look into like, hey, I want to do some submission grappling, contests, or were you like, no, I got my eyes on the prize. I know, UFC exists. I know Bellator exists. I know all of these organizations exist. And maybe I want to, test my mettle in MMA and take up a striking discipline. So, I mean, how long were you specifically in jiu-jitsu before you start learning striking?
Um, Honestly, I took it a couple classes. What got me, this wasn't like a thing. This wasn't like, oh, yo, I want to be an MMA fighter. Like, when I started with grappling, uh, like, I was learning the sport. I know that was my way. If I was going to go to college, that was going to be my outlet. Because I wanted to play sports. I was like, I need to get a scholarship to go to college. And so that was my outlet to get to college, go
Ah.
get the piece of paper. And then MMA kind of came after. I had a friend that kind of got me into club wrestling, and then I got into actually seeing being in the gym more, the kickboxing, etc. I ended up losing him in a swimming accident because there was like a smoker fight, and I watched him fight once, and we've done a jiu-jitsu tournament together, and so kind of in a remembrance upon that, he didn't get the opportunity to continue what we thought we were gonna do. Just more him than me. It's like I'm continuing to keep it alive. I gave it a try, and it's popping off. Honestly, it's I go fight my heart out, no different than when I was on the mat, and it's a daily grind. It's everybody thinks it's an instant gratification, and it's not. I grind every day, and I'm gonna continue to grind, no different than anybody else should in whatever they do. So.
No, 1,000%. Which is your friend still training?
Oh no, I ended up losing him in a swimming accident.
Oh wow, my
Yes, sir.
condolences.
Hmm?
That's that's a rough one, but
Yes.
you know, and it's some of that spirit that drives you in the days where it gets not so great, right? Again, you said that Instagram vacation, right? And everybody wants to be a fighter and whatever because it looks cool, and you get the nice lighting and whatever, or somebody to photograph. It looks great, right? It looks great, but the again, bringing it up again, the lifetime to be an overnight success, it takes a lot of work, and maybe in those times where it gets not so great and not so glamorous, where you don't want to post it on Instagram or any other social media deal, you kind of harness the energy of the one who brought you into this kind of world in itself, and and it boosts you to keep on going.
No, for sure. You just find gratitude in the day when you wake up, and so it is. It's not always good. It's no different. It's not always good. It's not sunshine and rainbows. This new generation, that's what they think it is. Some people, but it's you work at it. You wake up and you go grind, and some days are better than most, but then you just want to get 1% better. That's what I try to think. If you can think on that, then I it works for me. uh,
No, I mean, and I love that, the 1% better, just incrementally getting a little bit better, trying to better yourself, because a lot of people just think, hey, it has to be this big grandeur, especially with social media and everything like that. It has to be this big monumental change, and and you become a motivational speaker or a life coach or what have you. But really, if you can just get, 1% more knowledge, 1% more, athletically, tested, your mindset right, all of these things, because it almost looks like I heard the late great Eddie Guerrero say, like, about his sobriety, right? Where, am I going to be sober for the rest of my life? That's too big of a, a thing to chew on, right? But
and then
then I
yeah, you break before you even start. Like
exactly. But if I can just do it today, that
yeah,
makes all the difference.
for sure. No, and yeah, I preach that. It's you got to start somewhere, and when you take that first step, and it's like, all right, take the next step. It's like life is memories, like from A to Z. We first thing that we learn is our language, which is our like alphabets. So that's why I with the Z's, and with everything you take the steps, and then eventually it becomes a melody or something that rhymes and something you pick up on that you can remember. So yeah, practice makes not perfect, but you better.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and
Uh,
it is absolutely a language. Anybody that goes into any type of combat sports gym, whether it be striking or grappling. Like, I remember, like, the first time I was in the gym, and like the first time I hit a bag, and just like, even if I didn't get the combo right, there's something special when you hear that snap of a jab or what have
oh,
you.
for sure.
There's, yeah, it's motivational. And then you start putting combinations together, and maybe your cardio, and instead of like ba 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 whatever, and your cardio shot for the rest of the class, it was like it was premature Peter, essentially, right? And
Yeah,
and you blow your load. Well, maybe you learn to kind of know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and that's kind of it.
yeah. You gotta breathe for sure. You're talking about first time I hit the bag. It's probably sophomore. Yeah, about sophomore year. That's probably when I like touched the bag like that. And then like I've been doing Muay Thai, elbows, knees, kicks. It's just like kickboxing, but to me, it's no different. But I've done a little bit of boxing. I like boxing for its movement, but
Yeah.
like yeah, so you can your feints. But yeah, just like you said, combination of all of it. It's I like to learn all the arts. If there's a new coach that comes in, yeah, I'm glad. Maybe I'll learn something. I doesn't have to learn. I don't have to learn everything. I just try to pick up like one or two things upon how I can add it to my game upon, and yeah, it's like I said, it's a chess game. What are you playing out there? How are you playing your pieces? Because it's essentially you out there. Yeah, you got your coaches in the corner. They're calling things out. That's your secondary, your conscience. But yeah, when you're out there, there's just a lot going on.
And I mean, you mentioned your game, right? Trying to add it to your game. So, at what point did you kind of establish, hey, this is my style of doing things, whether it be approaching training, the style of striking, how you feint, or how you slip out of things, developing your style. At what point did you realize, the pros and cons of what you're doing, and then start putting it together?
I'm still growing on the daily. That's honestly, yeah, that's not. Yeah, we just had a boxing coach come in, and he may be taking a position where he's teaching a class, and yeah, I'm more than welcome to try to continue to up my game. Uh, I'm constantly growing on the daily when I'm in the gym. During sparring, I'm always testing uh, new looks, new footwork, just trying to step outside my comfort zone, honestly, because that's the only way you can kind of push to the next level.
No, no, 100%. Now, speaking of that next level, a lot of things go into a successful fighter, right?
Mhm.
But the gym and the you know kind of the environment within the gym, it counts for a lot of success. So, when did you end up at Mercenary Combat?
I've been with Mercenary for about a year and a quarter now. So, yeah, it's been, yeah, I didn't, that was my first fight with them, honestly.
Really?
I like the environment. Tony Salsa is a great coach, great at holding mitts and, great encouragement upon if you want to do something, that's your job. Like, uh, that's not his job. He's there to help you, but it's your job. How good do you want to be? And it's no different than when I'm coaching. It's I'm here. I'm gonna push you, but I can't want something more than you want it. And so I really push that as a coach and as an athlete. And so we talk about it when we got like some of my teammates are fighting this upcoming month in February. So uh, excited for that. And that's going to be an adaptation because that's going to be my first fight, like watching them. So it's no different than with my coach was watching me. He's like, all right, cool. This is our first fight with in the cage. Now we finally get to go showcase our work. And yeah, that's just no different than my belief is just trusting the process. In the gym, the environment, I don't know. I'm still learning. It's like I said, I'm still young in the sport. Uh, I have good teammates. They're able to push me, and I'm able to push myself. And yeah, I got good person. I got people that can hold mitts. That's the best thing because when I was at my gym before that, I was still learning there. It's yeah. Like I said, I'm on my third year of actually really dedicating myself to the craft upon this path.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that's it's it seems like a prevailing theme, whether you realize it or not. But the transitions that you make as a person, as a as an athlete, right? And having to essentially switch gears from you being the focus, you being in fight camp, to maybe being a part of your teammates' fight camp, right? So, and it's often been said, sometimes you learn a lot more of the nuances, by helping and helping, either train or coach your teammates within their fight camps than you do in yours, because obviously eyes in the prize, set faces to sun or whatever, but you almost get to take a step back and go like, hey, yes, I'm getting the work and everything like that, but I'm not the central focus, and I can, this transition, this, where I should put my knees versus where I should, put my head, and what have you. These little nuances that essentially are world champion caliber traits. You might not see it even as you're trying to maybe ascend to your own world championship.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess you learn when you teach, and so no, you got a point. Uh, a lot of my coaches that as I was upcoming, they preach steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron. And so, if you got people that want to come in and actually want to work hard, you can teach technique, but you can't teach a work ethic. And so, when people want to work and push, you got your different levels of practices, and then when you can surround yourself around like 2 to 3 guys that want to work hard, then yeah, you can create some great success. Honestly.
No, 100%. Which, I mean, taking it one step further, from the coaching and the training that you're getting yourself, but now you're basically using that as a catalyst to become a coach yourself, right?
Mhm.
And coach other people within their capabilities, and teach them to almost achieve their dreams. At the same time, dually, you're trying to get as much as you can in your time in combat sports. So how did the coaching opportunity you present itself?
Um, Coaching. Um, my coach in high school, I've been coaching since yeah, like 17, 18. He brought me to a coaching clinic, and yeah, it was crazy to see a coach from Pennsylvania move to Houston and bring people together for a camp, like from all different parts of like the sport, or yeah, just within the state from different schools. And so to see that, and then he brought me in, and I kind of helped. I was just like, whoa! I was like, dang, like this is very impactful. You learn a lot of things, because wrestling, yeah, there's a lot of life skills that you learn from wrestling, and so the relationship's no different than any other sport that you're in. The family that you build, that bond, and so like that, it's kind of getting an introduction to that. I don't know. I just a part of giving back to the sport. I guess I was always giving back to the sport, and so getting influence from that coach doing the clinics, it was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna start coaching in like little guys, helping out at the MMA gym, like the club practices, and then yeah, just kind of keeping that going, paying it forward per se, and then honestly, yeah, I went wrestled in college, and then I had stopped doing that because I had some family dilemma uh, go on. Ended up losing my dad, so I came back home, and then wrestled in Houston, placed third for a club team, and that coach that got me to do that, he's the one who got me to give up being a assistant coach to head coach at a high school at like 20 years old. Yeah, and then yeah, I gave that up to go to Arkansas to be a leader and go help out the University of Ozarks and kind of put them on the map. They got regionals and nationals that'll be coming up here soon. So they got some qualifiers that should be possibly making that podium, All American status. But yeah, it's just it's stepping stones, paying it forward. When you bring value, value comes back to you. I don't know that
Yeah.
that's as easy I could say it.
No, 100%. And I mean, it's funny because there's something that happened, right? I mean, there was a glow that I'm seeing, that the glimmer in your eye, when you speak of your coaching, not to say, obviously, your career, there was a lot going into it, a lot of time and effort, and you know just the trials and tribulations of that. But it almost seems like you've got a beam of pride, that might even dwarf your own exploits, in the people and the coaches, the people that you're coaching and being coached for.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a good energy all around. Uh, and yeah, when you continue to influence, it's a passion of mine. As I continue to teach, and I get a different eye as I'm teaching, and then I can go apply it when I go to my own practices and as I continue to grow. So yeah, it just brings another element to the craft.
No, 100%, and it literally exudes right out of you. So that's absolutely cool. Now, I gotta ask, like, what is that picture? Uh,
The choke,
yeah, what is that?
that's from the last fight.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Oh man, and let's let's shout out the. Do you know who took it?
Yeah, Mike the Truth down in Houston.
Okay,
Appreciate you for
yeah,
that artwork.
that's pretty sick, and that's a before, right? When I started doing interviews and what have you, this is before a lot of regional and amateur promotions had streams, right? So sometimes the only you know presence that basically showed that the fight existed to maybe the fighter's friends and families outside is either a picture or an interview done but with the person, because
No, for sure.
yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, it's crucial. So shout out to Mike.
yeah, I appreciate it for the photography. Life is memories upon bringing memories to life. Uh, yeah, it's from the cameraman to everybody has their role. It's appreciative of everybody that comes to support and brings it all together and brings that entertainment.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny that you say entertainment, but because obviously you're a very self-motivating, gentleman, right? But what when you're away from the mats, when you're away from the cage, gyms, and what have you, what are you doing otherwise? Are you into the movies? Are you into music? What do you listen to? What are you watching? What are you reading?
Uh, Listen to a lot of music. I'm working. Work on tech. computers, game consoles, laptops. I cook food. Like I told you before I started this interview, I was cooking up some champ burritos.
Yeah.
So it's like a little meal prep service for some of the people that I train from time to time. I got food. So if you eat like a champ, you feel like a champ. So if you want to eat kind of like what I eat, I got a breakfast burrito and a lunch wrap. And I kind of got that from when I used to cut weight when I was in college. And then I am, what else do I do? I don't know. Oh, videography. I'm editing videos. I do social media marketing. And so,
Really?
yeah, I like to edit videos, take photos, create content. Just, I don't know, barbering. Help out a barber shop called the Barber Life Studio. We actually got a kids camp. We teach kids how to cut hair. And so, that's a fun event. We should have another one coming up here after my fight down in Vegas. That'll be something to look forward to. Shout out to Johnny Blade, the barber, doing great things.
It seems like every bit of your personality is just, giving back, taking all of the resources that you've been able to accumulate through your life and your career and basically giving back to, the people around you, the community around you, and making it better than maybe what you came into. And where does that come from?
Mm, I don't know.
That's good. I mean, it's good.
I don't know. Honestly, the coaching, I try to be. I don't know. Try to stay productive and be around the good energy. Honestly, if you're staying productive and doing things, that's the first step. If you're doing something, uh, trying to better yourself, then that person's all usually a good vibe to be around. And so, then when you're around people, communication is key, and through networking, that's what I thought college was about, like networking. Like I got friends in Arkansas, but it's like I live in Washington now. So, but I
Hmm.
have people that have moved from there are in other places, and so no different than our social media and how we're talking today. It's a network. So the more people that you build into your network, I feel that you actually bring value to, you're helping out, then yeah, when people come together, great things can happen, regardless of whatever it may be. From like I said, the social media marketing, the barbering, our podcasts, to coaching high school, to the little guys, to I don't, whatever you want to do in life. Uh, as long as you're bringing value, then yeah, I don't. I feel like that's how life's supposed to work. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which I mean, just doing awesome ish and not even knowing where it came from, and we need a little bit more of you in the world because, like, that's awesome, and because especially you're talking about social media and what have you. Some people they do it, for the clout, like, oh, look at me, I'm doing great for the homeless, like whatever, or look at me, I'm helping somebody because of whatever. And if sometimes you don't need to say anything. If it comes from the heart and it's a very earnest decree, you shouldn't have to say anything. It's just you're doing what you want to do, with your time and the time
No,
management.
there's a lot of influential people that don't have all the clout. But as you continue to grow, sometimes the different platforms can put you in different places. And so I don't know. If as I continue to grow, I'm going to continue to use my platform to do better and bring more value. And uh, everybody can make change in the world, and it doesn't have to be in big spurs. It can be, and like I said, that 1%, one little thing, and it could be as simple as a haircut. We got a saying like changing a life one haircut at a time, uh, which is it's really true. The relationship that you can build just over a conversation, just over a haircut,
Right.
can be impactful upon changing the perspective of somebody's life. Rather than no different than when I'm in the gym and I say something nice, or to a random stranger, if I just critique them and they are having a bad day, that can change the whole day for
Yeah.
that. And so like, hey, dang, where'd that come from?
No, 100%. I mean, we've all been there where like you have the horrible day where nothing seems to work out. Sometimes it turns into a week or a year or whatever, and you're almost looking for that little bit of almost a again a transition, right? Like
A
you're
transition.
yeah, you're looking for something, to be the catalyst to maybe change the mindset, change your outlook. You're like, somebody says, you have a great jacket. Where'd you get it? Like, thanks. Like, you never know, and you can almost see, almost like how they say, plants, right? We don't think that they can express or emotes emotions, right? But you talk to a plant with positivity, and it
Oh yeah,
blooms, and it's
it grows.
amazing. And you do the opposite to a plant, right? And you could even, it has nothing to do with the sunlight, the
Energy.
water, and everything like that. It's the energy,
Energy.
absolutely. And you could see it welts. It's the nature versus nurture type deal. It's a little monkey. Like, you've got food and milk on one end, and then just a warm cloth on the other one that is similar to the body type of what their mother would be, right? And the monkey clings to that warm towel, and then just when it needs to, goes to that the sustenance and what have you, but then runs right back into that warm towel. And sometimes you could be the warm towel to somebody's day.
For sure. Yeah, it's bringing light to darkness. Sometimes it's what it is. It's not always good days. It's just you got to roll with the punches. uh, you got to keep your head up. You got to wake up and keep your head up because there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's just you got to find light in bad situations sometimes because some things you don't understand why they're happening until later. And so, some things are outside of your control, and you can only control your controllables. So, uh, I try to feed off that.
No, absolutely. And another thing that I think is absolutely crucial what you're doing is you're investing your money wisely, which sometimes, a lot of times, there are fighters in different organizations and athletes in general, right? Where I think Esquire or one of those like big magazines, they have their YouTube, and like how you spent your first 100,000 or $1 million or what have you. And sometimes it's absolute frivolous. It's keeping up with the Joneses, and the fact that you've invested in the barbershop. I see Christian Aguilar, who had a short stint in the UFC. Now he used, like, I think one of his fights, he got, if not the first fight in the UFC, he got the $50,000
The
performance
bonus.
bonus, right? And he has a wing place in
Okay,
South Orange County, right? And that's in addition to being a construction worker and what have you. And it's very similar. A lot of hats that you wear as a progressing mixed martial artist, but putting your money and your resources in the right place. That's something that not a lot of people do, and you're doing it very early on.
yeah, you gotta create multiple streams of revenue. I always preach it. And yeah, with doing so, you're not putting everything in one. Because no different. I'm not gonna be an athlete forever. Like, but during the time, I'm gonna take advantage of like as much as I can. No different than my youth upon being able to stay up a little bit longer, do a little bit more. Like while I'm there, I'm not gonna be able to do that when I get older. So while I'm here, while I have the time, I'm gonna try to take advantage of that time. And yeah, just like you said, not everybody does it. But I try to teach that for the people that I come across, and yeah, that's just that's you can't just do one thing. There's different type of people. That's honestly what it is. Some people are okay with what they do, and that's okay too. So I say everybody has different lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's just, optimizing what it is that you do, and again, I think technology of any generation, right, that it's crucial, but especially now where, in the I think something was said to the effect of, we've advanced as a society, as human beings, in the last 20 years more so than we have the last 100 years in terms of,
Oh, for
you know
sure. Over this
right.
last 20 years, technology is boom. I could think back to it was basically it's about 20 years. About 2010. Yeah, when after we got past that 3GS and got onto like the iPhone 4,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when technology started to go like skyrocket.
And that's one thing that you're doing, is making sure that you are almost harnessing all of the talk and, the innovation that is happening around you, but you're like, hey, hold on, that train is not leaving without me in it, and you're basically, using your skill and your talents to, and it's funny because, like, technical wrestler, technical athlete, technical meal prepper, everything that you do is technical, and it's all about the details, but then that's exactly the type of person that you need getting into tech.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because if you misplace something, or the littlest screw comes out, or you tear that microfiber cord,
Yeah.
that's it's a wrap. That's some people. It's funny because with ultimate technology, some people think it's like, here you go, here's my device or whatever, and then boom, they ring. Ayo, like, where's my stuff? Ayo, this is not drive through service. Like, we get things out, we get things done, but yeah, there's sometimes I've done anything from phone that's been ran over, like dismantled, and yeah, they're calling like 2 days later, like, hey yo, what's up with the phone? I'm like, hey, I'm waiting for the frame. Like, we don't get it done, but you just brought me this project. That's what happened.
I've had a couple of that happen to me. There was a point where I something happened to 14 phones in 12 months.
Sheesh.
Yeah. And I would say, getting run over, that was at least two of them. I would say about six, half a dozen times, dropping it in the toilet, like, yeah, whatever. There was one where my son, who's now 14, he was maybe one or two at the time, and he had this little hollow plastic hammer, right? And I was like, this phone, it sucks. It doesn't work. And he was watching, like, Handy Manny or whatever, like, oh, I'll fix it. And this and that showed me how much power, because it's a little, not
That
even
little
like a,
toy, yeah. That's
yeah. And he go whack, and the thing's, shatters into pieces, and my wife kind of like, he pulls the baby closer to her, and it's like,
uh, hey, now he's playing Mr. Fix It,
yeah, 100%. And he's still doing, like, Roblox and what have you, creating worlds and everything. So it worked out. So I sacrificed the phone for, kind of him figuring stuff out. So right on.
PC. No, and then like you're saying, like the gaming. I used to be a big gamer, but I don't game anymore. I'm still good at games. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, just kind of got more into the business side upon trying to build.
Which, I mean, at the time of your, you know, gaming, right? Like
Hmm.
the very tippy top of, like, your interest in it. What was your game?
Oh, my gamer tag.
No, what was your, like, the game that you play that you're like,
Oh,
were
my
you a
favorite
Madden
game.
guy, a
My favorite
Halo?
game, if I could play still, is Halo. Halo
Ah,
3. Yeah. Shoot, I almost bought an Xbox One just so I could play the new Halo. But I want to see what's up. I don't know if people are still playing like that. But I used to play MLG. Like, yeah, no, like, I used to go hard, and then Gears of War a little bit. I play Call of Duty, Madden, 2K.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like, number one, yeah, Halo used to be fun. Then, like, sticking people with the plasma, the gladiator swords, like, for sure.
Wow, and now this one I almost hate because like you are so strict with your diet and you meal prep for others or what have you. But do you have a favorite cheat meal?
Cheat meal. I like all food. Honestly, I like to eat. Me being weight management, it's a lifestyle. So, uh, like when I got to weigh-ins for my fight, I had to lose 2 pounds after that 36-hour no sleep. So, 2 pounds in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But I get to eat. I can eat favorite meal, steak, wings. Favorite meal, like Garfield, I guess per se, lasagna. I make the best lasagna. And then if we're talking about desserts, peach cobbler.
Mm.
Peach cobbler is delicious.
You do it with the side of vanilla ice cream with it,
Oh,
or
for sure,
yeah,
no
man,
doubt.
all killer no filler.
That shoot, a very very cobbler. Yeah, no, I like cooking. Cooking, you gotta eat. If you eat good, you'll feel good. Uh, yeah, it's no different than like the breakfast. Because I'm a go getter. I'm always going. I'm doing something. Can't stop, won't stop. So that's made the food so then I don't like miss a meal. Like if I'm hungry and I'm doing something, like I know a lot of times I have at least one burrito somewhere like I can eat. But that's why I try to teach people because sometimes people want to put in like last minute orders and then I'm like, hey yo, like my life does not revolve just around food. I got that's just like yeah, as if I'm out, like you gotta wait till I cook again or something.
That's, I mean, again, it seems like everything that you do with great tact and concern. So it's amazing. But speaking of all the things that you like doing and all of your influences, take as long as you need because they say it takes a village to raise somebody up, right? So let's
For
shout
sure.
out the village to take as long as you need. Let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Shout out Mercenary, my gym, for sure. Congrats on our first dub. Uh, I give a shout out to Pasco Auto Wrecking. I appreciate you as a sponsor. Bulldog, Little Guy Wrestling, uh, Matt Radlers, Pasco Bulldogs, Low Dogs, Life is Memories. You know what's up. The Barber Life Studio, Ice Chiropractors. They gave me adjustment. That was different. With adjustments, yeah, have you ever got your neck cracked? Yeah, but yeah, you like
Yeah.
put tolerance. Yeah, that's different. Shout out to them. Lower Valley CrossFit. Appreciate you as a sponsor. Appreciate all my sponsors and any all my coaches. Rise Wrestling down in Houston. It's where I've done my kind of my Greco background in wrestling. Um, yeah, Coach Derek Waldrop, William Durning, and all my Champ Burrito supporters, all my Life is Memory supporters. Appreciate you for the podcast. Bring me on the show. Appreciate. Yeah, just grateful everybody who supports, even my haters, because y'all are supporting without me even knowing it. Thank y'all.
Now, last but very not least, and I've linked it all in the description below, wherever you may find this. But for those who want to get a little bit more, the haters, the lovers, the supporters, and maybe not, to get more of the relentless DJ Quick Jackson, where can they find you on social media, my man?
Life is Memories. You got me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can check out my website. Still making some changes, but lifeismemories.com if you want to go buy a t-shirt. Support. And Twitter, Life is Memories. I'm trying to use Twitter a little bit more. Yeah, tweet. But yeah, check me out on social media. Send me a message. May send you some stickers. Like I said, t-shirts. I'll be doing raffles here soon with my next fight coming up. So stay tuned for that. March 27th. I'm just awaiting the contract. So ready to sign. Team was already confirmed. So just waiting on that. But again, grateful. Appreciate you having me on here.
I appreciate you, and we appreciate you for joining us here at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Which there, and also Bodyslam.net, who is carrying this right now. Shout out to Bodyslam. But go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. I mean, DJ Quick Jackson, you're subscribed to the podcast, aren't you?
Yes, sir. If I'm not, then I'll click the button right now.
See,
But it should be.
See? And there you go. So be like the relentless DJ Quick Jackson and subscribe to the podcast. But if you don't believe me, you don't believe him, and I don't know why you wouldn't, well, use Zeta Zang to convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta